Used to be dead down. House like jet now. We don't play radio. Don't master flicks now.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy CrayG, and welcome back to another Need for Speed Heat video. In today's video, I'll be showcasing my updated S15 drift build, man. This thing is beautiful. This is probably one of the favorite cars in my garage. One of my favorite drift cars, in all honesty. I actually kind of revamped my drift setup, and it's the setup that I've been using with all of my cars now. It's a really good setup, and I encourage you guys to try it out. But we're gonna get into this build, man. So make sure you guys drop a like and hit that sub button if you've been enjoying the content on the channel. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so just to start off, we're gonna do a quick run through the customization first. So for the kits I have the Garage Mac, and I'm pretty sure I went with Garage Mac throughout the whole car. But I have the Garage Mac front bumper here, the Garage Mac hood here as well. Like I said, I believe I ran with it through the whole car. Okay, so we have C-West fenders here, a C-West side skirt, Garage Mac rear fenders, and then just a regular trunk lid. I could have went with the Garage Mac trunk lid, which is pretty dope, but then I would have took the spoiler off of it because it kind of looks weird with the spoiler and the trunk lid. But when I take it off, I feel like it looks pretty dope like that with the spoiler, because I went with the Garage Mac spoiler as well. And then for the rear bumper, we went with the Vertex Edge, you know, smoked out tail lights. I like this carbon diffuser here, which is also the Vertex Edge. And then we have our Speed Hunters exhaust with these white glossy SSR MS3s on here, man. These rims are dope. Going into the performance, so I'm gonna show you guys my drift setup, man. Like I said, I encourage you guys to try it out. It works pretty well, but it might not work for everybody. Everyone has their preference on how they like to drift and the parts they like to use, but I'm just telling you, I've used probably 3 different drift setups, and this one works the best for me. So I have all Ultimate Plus engine parts, Ultimate Plus crankshaft, ECU, cooling, exhaust, and then I have a dual turbo here as well with my 5 3-pound tanks of nitrous. And here's where it gets good, man. So I'm running Pro on-road suspension, Pro brakes as well, and I'm going to tell you guys why I'm running Pro brakes in a second. Elite drift tires, which do work, they do work. And then I have, of course, an Elite clutch. I have a 5-speed gearbox, and then I have Super Showcase differential. I'm gonna tell you why this setup works so well for me. So first thing is the Pro on-road suspension. I went with the Pro on-road suspension because the Pro drift suspension was just a little bit too slidey, and all of the sports parts didn't have enough grip for me. Because when it comes to drifting, you can't just go full on non-grip, because your car is just gonna slide all over the place. Like, you're not gonna have any grip and any control around the corners. You're just gonna slide and get a bunch of oversteer. So that's why I went with Pro on-road suspension, so I can still get a little bit of traction. Pro brakes as well, because I wanted the softest brakes. Well, these aren't the softest brakes. Obviously the sport brakes are the softest, or you can go with stock, but I wanted Pro brakes because I use my brake to transition now. If you guys haven't seen my other video, the tip to make you a pro drifter, that is a tip, man. Using the brake to transition in between corners works really well. So I didn't want a really strong brake. I wanted to just kind of ease out of one drift and ease into another. So that's why I'm using the Pro brakes, because I tap that brake probably twice and then reinitiate and tap on the gas, and it works just fine. You know, I just switch right back to the other side. No weird e-brake, you know, magnetized feeling, none of that stuff. So it works pretty well. You guys should try that out. I'm going with Elite drift tires because sometimes some cars work with Super drift tires and some cars work with Elite drift tires, but recently I've started just using Elite drift tires with a bunch of cars because, like I said, you at least want a good amount of grip. Super drift tires put me down in the 5s on acceleration, and in all honesty, you want your acceleration to be around from 6 to 7, and that's good for a drift car. From 6 to 7, you want your acceleration to be around there, because that shows that you have a good amount of traction still, and that's what you need when you're drifting. You still need traction. I have an Elite clutch because that's obvious. You don't want to run with any of these other clutches. You want the best of the best, the Elite Plus clutch. And then I have a 5-speed gearbox, which is, I'm pretty sure, the lowest gearbox you can get on this car. And that's because I wanted those gears to be stretched out more. I'm mainly in 2nd gear a lot. If I'm real high speed in the long turns, I'll use 3rd gear, but then I'll end up shifting back down to 2nd anyway. 2nd gear is a sweet spot for me when it comes to drifting. So, and I'm pretty sure it is for everybody. So if you're in manual as well, like I'm driving a manual, you want to be in the lower gearboxes, because it just helps out a lot, because you can just stick in that one gear and knock the whole track out in that one gear, and you have a lot more control. And then I have my Showcase differential here. So my Super Showcase showcase differential. Now it says here, showcase differential combines the strengths of drift and on-road handling, making it a good choice for most drift events. So the reason I went with this is because it gave me more traction. Like I said, if I would have went with a pro drift suspension or anything like that, I would lose acceleration, which means I'll lose traction. And then with the showcase combining the strengths of drift and on-road handling, I already have elite drift tires and I have a pro on-road suspension. So I feel like those kind of work in conjunction with the differential, because if I have the drift tires and then I have the on-road suspension and then I have my differential, which is a combination of on-road and drift, it just works pretty well in my opinion. And then for my auxiliary, I have 2 repair kits and damage reduction. I don't really use nitrous that much with drift cars. I don't know, in this game I just feel like drifting and using nitrous is kind of weird. It felt more natural in Payback, but in Heat it just feels kind of weird. I don't really see any reason to use nitrous. I've never needed to use nitrous to keep my speed up or to make a certain corner, so I mean, I don't really use it. I can take it off, but I just have it there to make the stat go up to 10 because it bugs me seeing my nitrous at 0, or you know what I'm saying, something like that when you have no nitrous. So but that's pretty much the drift setup, man. I encourage you guys to try that out, and because it works pretty well. It does. Now going over to my stance, man, and this does matter. I have my ride height all the way lowest possible, and then I have fully negative camber in the front and 0 camber at all in the rear. No camber in the rear, fully negative camber in the front, because you want max angle. You want that max caster angle when you're drifting. And trust me, if you take this all the way and put no camber on it and go out and drift, you're gonna tell the difference. If you do that and then come back and put full camber on there, you're gonna tell the difference and see how much more angle you're able to get and how you're able to control that angle in those corners. And just going back to performance, I forgot to tell you guys what engine I had in here. I have the 3.8 liter V6, which is the VR38, which is the Nissan GTR R35 engine. So I swapped that into here and it works pretty well. I have 984 horsepower. My 0 to 60 is 3.4 seconds, which is, you know, it's a drift car. And then I have 794 pound-feet of torque with a 234 miles per hour top speed. We go over to my exhaust sound here. You can hear that VR38. A little bit aggressive with it, and then a couple notches up from stock like always. Kept my overrun in the middle because it spits enough flames. I don't need to go more raw with it, and then I have no pipe resonance at all. And that's how I wanted to do it, man. All right, man, so we're gonna take this thing out and of course do some drifting, man. We are gonna take this thing out and do some drifting. Let's go hit one of my favorite tracks over here, which is Quicksilver. So like I said, with second gear is pretty nice for this car. Like I said, it's a real sweet spot. Sometimes third gear is just a little too much, you know what I mean? See if I try to enter that turn in third gear, I just get a bunch of oversteer. So I mean, at some turns I'll enter in third gear if I need that much speed to hit the corner, and then I'll immediately downshift into second, and I gain way more control over the corner, and I can just, you know, I'll already be down in the gear I need to be when I'm exiting. Oh man, look at this thing, bro. This thing looks amazing. And those white MS3s look dope. All right, so let's get this going, man. Woo, look at that S15, what? One thing I did forget to do was tint the windows, but that's okay. Ooh, too much angle. That's the thing. You kind of gotta. And the thing that I realize is that all of the cars are different when it comes to angle and the amount of angle they let you get with certain cars. Because I know weight plays a part and all of that stuff, right? So some of these corners, it's like you can't get too much angle in certain cars. You just gotta kind of learn what car you're using. You know what I mean? And then I also feel like each car's throttle management is a little different, you know what I mean? So I feel like they did go a little bit in depth with the tuning for drift, but just without the whole tuning menu and all of that stuff that kind of confuses people who don't know much about it at the end of the day. Like I said before, man, drifting was just kind of like dull for me in the beginning. I mean, like I was good at it, you know, but once I found a better setup, a more satisfying way, you know, to drift and stuff, and I started learning more tricks to be able to make myself better and to improve, the drifting is actually pretty satisfactory, man. Woo! Look how close I got to that corner. Ooh, I had the e-brake right there. I'm glad that shit didn't. Oh, through the fence. It's okay. You guys hear how I'm just kind of tapping the throttle? Like I'm not really just mashing the gas down. You know what I mean? That throttle management really helps a lot, especially when you're going around long corners. If you just slam the gas in, you won't make it around the corner, I'm telling you. Oh, I thought we had another lap for some reason. I don't know why. 575K, that's pretty good. That's like really the scores that I be getting on the majority of the tracks that I do, so I feel like that's pretty dope. But I really enjoy this car, man, and I encourage you guys to go and try it out. I've updated a lot of the cars that I've done videos on before as far as drift builds, because I just find them to be way better now, and with the more skill that I have now, I feel like I'm able to control them better and bring out the actual full potential when it comes to drifting. So that's why I'm doing a lot of these updated videos. I may drop another updated 350Z video, so stay tuned for that, man. I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Deuces.